Our purpose is to bring awareness to COVID-19, and we hope to better communicate to college students living in the Salt Lake and Provo area how the coronavirus affects them and how we can help reduce the spread. Coronavirus cases are spiking among college students and presenting a real problem for reaching maximum capacity in our hospitals. In Governor Herbert's latest message, he specifically addressed how Utah college students haven't been responsible in the pandemic. Current data shows that individuals aged 15 to 24 years old have not been careful in their casual social gatherings, and that the highest rates of spread are now occurring among this age group. We all live in the great state of Utah, and we would like to keep our community safe and healthy, so we have decided to create a campaign to help lower the spread of COVID-19 among young adults. Our mission is simple and straightforward. It's to help bring about awareness and help slow the spread of COVID-19 by encouraging our peers to better follow the instructions our state leadership has provided, not through authority, but through empathy, since we're all in this together and we are impacted by it as a whole. Coronavirus cases are spiking among college students, and it's clear that the majority of students aren't taking proper precautions. Our goal is to use our college voices to appeal to our audience and to help stop the spread of coronavirus in our communities by means of educating them, producing truthful information, and with emotional support. In order to do this, we have decided to reach out to college students in ways that they are already interacting with and feel comfortable with. We have chosen Twitter and Instagram since many college students in Utah are already heavily interacting on these social media platforms. As we post on social media, young adults in college will be able to become well informed and be able to share it on their own accounts as well as with their classmates. We hope that by doing so, we will be able to flatten the curve and get through this together. We need to slow the spread of coronavirus and lower the rate so our hospitals don't hit maximum capacity. We need students to work together and encourage one another to be more aware of the pandemic. It's important not to participate in any activities that may raise the risk of coronavirus spreading faster. It's important to encourage our fellow students, friends, family members, and community to not participate in any function that will make the cases rise. It's important to each other that our health is good, understand proper hygiene and social distancing. Too often we hear of our friends and peers continuing to go to parties and hang out with their friends in settings that are not adhering to CDC guidelines. Remember, wear a mask and stay 6 feet apart. We aren't saying that you need to stay home and 24/7 and isolate yourself. Just be responsible and keep others responsible. Let's get Utah healthy again.
With our channels and media mix, we wanted to make a social media account. We did this because we knew it would be a good way to reach out to our specific audience. Social media also provides a medium in which short bits of information can be quickly internalized by the consumers. With all of the social media platforms we could have used, we chose to start with Twitter. We liked using the form of Twitter because the posts that were made could be easily reposted to reach more of our audience. Our campaign's account name was UT COVID. We chose this name because it was simple, catchy, and to the point. We posted helpful tips and reminders similar to how the CDC runs their account. We posted one thing that reminded people how to wear their mask and that they should wear it often. We even made a post listing off our favorite locally owned vendors to purchase masks from. We stress how it is important for the community to invest in their local economy in times like this, because some of these local businesses are struggling. We also shared a post of a newspaper article we wrote called "Have You Forgot? We're Still in the Pandemic?" Within that article, college students were urged to remember the pandemic going on around them. These young adults were reminded to follow the CDC guidelines as well as ways to take care of their own mental health while staying inside. The article also stated that coming out of this pandemic will be a collective effort and shared a few tips on how to encourage others to stay safe as well. On this Twitter account, we also posted an infographic we created. It shows various ways on how we can approach others who might not be following all the guidelines we have been asked to. We need to first remember to stay 6 feet apart, ask others to wear their masks correctly, and to share why it is important. With all the turmoil happening in the world, it is easy to feel on edge and take our frustrations out on those around us. It is important to remember not to get into arguments because this can further endanger you and others around you. On the graphic that we posted, the link to Utah's coronavirus website is added so people can know where to go to find out what local guidelines are. In our audience analysis, we wanted to target more of the rebellious age group. These are the people that don't want to listen to the governor and the other authorities that are telling us what to do. We found that our target audience consisted mostly of people that are in their late teens and 20s, which are college students. The platform and word choice we used were specifically targeting these young adults. We wanted to show them how it is important to follow these rules even if it doesn't seem to immediately affect them, because in the long run, it could change their life.
The goal is to educate Utah college students on why it's so important to prevent coronavirus spreading even further and how we can do that. The most effective way is to stay home. It's easier said than done though, and we all know that by now. And as nice as it might sound to some people to stay home 24/7, it's not good for your mental health and you need your groceries. Now you can definitely be a little bougie and order all your groceries online to deliver to your house, but the majority of us can't afford something like that. So how do we go about getting our essentials? First, go grab that reusable mask. If you don't have one, it's time to go buy one. We've been in this pandemic for over 9 months now. You don't need to keep putting more waste into our landfills. If you don't know where to go buy one, some shops in Salt Lake City like The Stockist and Amelia and Salt and Honey are all local and women-owned businesses that you can buy reusable masks from. Now I'm going to demonstrate how to properly wear your mask because some of you guys do not know how to and it's very concerning. First, you need a filter, this kind of filter. It's a PM2.5 and it fits inside all reusable masks and they last 4 full days of use. Now make sure your mask is over your nose and mouth and that it's secure on both sides of your face. So, no air in, no air out. Now with a reusable mask, you don't want more bacteria to grow on it, so it's extremely important to wash your mask at the end of the day. I recommend washing it with face wash in your sink and let it dry overnight. It only takes a couple minutes and your mask is all clean again. Now while you're out shopping, stay at least 6 feet away from people. It's not the maximum feet you have to be away though, so the farther the better. A new study done by the American Association for the Advancement of Science shows that for every confirmed case of coronavirus, there can be between 5 and 10 more people who are asymptomatic and could interact with others, increasing the spread. So if you believe you've even been exposed to it, get tested and do not interact with anyone while you're waiting for your results. This is very important because if you do have coronavirus, you need to be quarantined for at least 10 days. After that, you're not contagious anymore, but if you're still showing symptoms, stay quarantined until you're healthy. Now, I know this is a lot of information to process, so if you need to remember anything from this, it's these 3 things. 1, stay home. 2, wear a filtered face mask. And 3, stay at least 6 feet away from others. In our campaign, we felt we did really well in our message targeting college students. It's quite hard to target a demographic like that because the psychographics are very different, but the language we used and how we channeled our message was done well. In our message, we didn't want to make it seem like we were lecturing our peers, we wanted to make it seem more like we're having a conversation with them. The language we used was more sarcastic and casual, making it seem like, really? We're still in this pandemic even after 9 months? Seriously? With our research, we were very thorough and made sure it came from credible sources. Especially with this pandemic, it can be very easy to get false facts, and we made sure that didn't happen because it would make our entire campaign look like it's fake news.
So, what could we have done better? We could have better tempered our ambitions. When we first started planning for this project, our audience was too broad, making it difficult to know how to approach them. We made the mistake of simply targeting college students, which was a miss on our part. Our message ultimately targets an audience which has some rejection to authority, a kind of why should we listen to you if you're just going to treat us like children demographic. If we could have better defined this audience from the beginning and narrowed it down a little, we would have found our voice faster and have been able to build on it more, delivering an even stronger message to our audience and potentially creating a larger impact. On the topic of the voice we found, it felt strong, particularly in Heather's article with the paragraph, "While you're out and about, we all know to stay 6 feet away from others. But what if a Karen is 2 feet away from you at the self-checkout lane in Target? What do? You start a non-verbal staring contest. Do it. You'll see and experience the magic I'm talking about." The way this paragraph reads, unapologetic and brash in labeling a type of person and instructing what would normally be considered rude, it's exactly the kind of relatable messaging which would reach our audience. Ultimately, though, our cohesion and unity between channels doesn't reach the same level of effectiveness. It's not very clear that each channel was part of the same campaign. The messaging between them is clear and it maintains that informal approach, but we could have gone even further. Our Twitter has an attitude of rejecting big corporations and shopping locally, but it's never as clear in being relatable to our audience. Our branding could have been this exact language of citing relatable events of people not following the guidelines and losing any developed formality we've grown accustomed to. Something like that would have helped our cohesion and overall effectiveness. We could have developed a character, a mascot if you will, this student who is experiencing the pandemic in the same way as us and expresses their disdain for the Karens of the world. A relatable figure which our audience could find comforting in reminding them that they're not alone. It could have been a school or a club of these like-minded individuals. We could have established a write-in form of outreach asking our peers to spread the channel and give us more stories to share, growing our audience and allowing our campaign to become self-sustaining on social media. Something as ambitious as this would have been an excellent way to tie it all together, firmly establishing our campaign as a whole. Our learning experience with the campaign was a good one. We learned about the importance of having a clear audience so we can focus on what messaging they'll respond to. We also had a nice advantage with our research because this sort of campaign has been attempted before. We could learn a good amount from researching campaigns like RoneAlert, which shared our same goal but approached it in a very different way. We could research their efforts, seeing what worked and what didn't work for them in terms of reaching their own audience. And ultimately, through this research, we would develop a strong voice to reach our audience.